I do think that the power consumption is an issue. Where I think people get it wrong is they see it as like a causal relationship, meaning more AI requires more data centers, requires more power. Now, here's the issue, and this is really interesting because it's like not in NVIDIA's best interest to have this opinion, but he was saying it is the people that are purchasing GPUs from these data centers they're like, as they're negotiating these contracts, one of the things when you're like negotiating infrastructure in data centers, you negotiate uptime guarantees. So if
Mm-hmm.
you are the buyer, you are obviously, one of the things that you're negotiating is percentage of uptime, and you want that to be as close to 100 as possible. So he framed it in a way that you have all of these legacy buyers who just by nature have not really purchased infrastructure for AI, but maybe have purchased infrastructure for like what Rob does. In those scenarios, you want 100% uptime because these are critical systems that need to be up and running 24/7. AI is different. AI is, I mean, if you looked at AI power usage and needs on a graph, it is nothing, 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 everything, nothing, nothing, nothing. And so that's how the technology is used. Like, I mean, if you just think about it, when I click enter on a Claude code run, it is all of my tokens, and then it
Mm-hmm.
is none of my tokens. And it is like that, you end up with these two giant spikes a day if you're doing a big work in there.
Mm.
So what he was saying, this is a crazy number. He was saying that there is 60% of the power used in AI data centers is like totally uncaptured, unnecessary downtime. And so he is really pushing for negotiations that are um, time dependent uptime. Meaning, like, okay, you will negotiate 90% uptime for you between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Then, if you want to do anything overnight running in the background, we can guarantee a throttled 50% uptime while you're sleeping. And so he said that like over half of the power that is currently allocated, so 60% of the power that is allocated towards data centers is not being used. It is just
Mm.
sitting in reserve because there are these contracts that guarantee 999% uptime. And that is
Mm.
not how AI works and runs. Works in
Interesting.
it works in one shot. It works in like, okay, getting ready to leave the office for the night, think, run it all and just run it overnight. And then you've got these big chunks, and I mean, according to him, I'm guessing he's right. I mean, you'd have no incentive to, in fact, it would be like against his best interest to be honest about this. But I mean, so
Mm.
60% captured power. Like, so you know what I mean? If like the data center moratorium is a terrible idea. This is infrastructure that will be absolutely critical. Um, it is creating jobs in the short term. AI, like in the short term, while the infrastructure for this is being built out, it is a net job creator.
Mm-hmm.
And that is including job displacement as a result of generative AI. It is still a massive net job creator in the short term. But like a more common sense, nuanced legislation would be contractual legislation that has throttles on uptime guarantees inside of the contracts if you're tapping into public utilities. That would be the no-brainer. We could free up almost half the grid with that type of legislation.
You should write a letter to Bernie Sanders. I think he'd like your writing. I do.